Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Media Awareness. This is Rob. Before I continue, I want to remind you all that the fundraiser continues. For those of you new to my channel or unaware, I am a disabled individual and I use a motorized wheelchair slash scooter all day, every day for my independence, and I need your help. My insurance will not cover anything with regard to my scooter as they view it as a quote luxury item end quote, despite the fact that I am unable to walk whatsoever, in addition to being unable to use any other type of scooter or power chair, or even a standard wheelchair for that matter, as I only have limited dexterity in one hand. In addition to that, I do not have a backup scooter or wheelchair to rely on at the current time. So if my scooter should malfunction as it did a few months ago, I will yet again be a fish out of water, a scenario I want to avoid at all costs. With that stated below the title of this video in the description below, as well as in a separate section below the information pertaining to this video itself, you will find a spot fund link. It is a fundraiser, it's easy to contribute, it takes a few seconds, and any and all help is welcome. I cannot stress that enough. Even $5 or $10 can make all the difference in the world, and you can even contribute anonymously. The purpose of the fundraiser is to assist me with the ongoing refurbishing of my existing scooter, as well as to help me save for the purchase of a new scooter. I arrived at these conclusions following the malfunction, as alluded to a moment ago, whereby my battery charging mechanism had failed entirely, and for roughly 2 weeks I needed to rely on family and friends to push me around my own home, which severely limited my independence. However, it was that long overdue wake up call that I needed a backup plan, and a backup plan is to have a brand new scooter to use moment to moment, day to day, every day, as well as my existing scooter completely refurbished, waiting in the wings to be used at a moment's notice, if necessary, when necessary. Additionally, at the current time, I'm also attempting to save for the purchase of a wheelchair van. My wheelchair van, unfortunately, has ceased to function, and that is problematic for me in terms of my independence as well. I'm going different places, and although I could use public transportation, after falling off of a bus while getting off of the bus, I'm really reluctant to do so. There is wheelchair accessible transportation for individuals like myself to go places. However, it only runs until a certain time of day, that being 5 p.m. So if I wanted to go anywhere after that, I would need to take public transportation, aka a bus, and I would be risking my life once again, um, as I kind of hurt my head when I did fall off the bus while getting off of it, as stated. So, with all of that, I do want to really urge you all to do what you can. Any and all help, once again, is welcome. I do want to extend a gracious thanks to those who have contributed thus far, in addition to those who plan on contributing, as your contributions have and will make a world of difference in my life. Thank you all. I love you all. Below in the description of this video as well, you will find a link to my video regarding the United States government shutdown and some real significant issues that people in middle class families or individuals and or lower income are going to be facing in the near future unless the government reopens ASAP. So please watch that video if you could as well, and do what you can. I would really appreciate it. Once again, it all means the world to me, and I do really, really appreciate you all. Love you all. If you are not yet subscribed to this channel, please consider subscribing to Media Awareness and becoming part of the Media Awareness family. I'd love to have you. Also, if you do subscribe, be sure to click the bell icon. That way, you will be notified whenever I upload a new video, just like this one. So this is an album review of the new album from a band called Ihlo. It's called Legacy, and it's available on K-Scope Records. And this is the band's second album. This was kindly sent to me from one of my viewers who is really a very generous individual and tends to go through my Amazon Media Awareness wish list, which is linked below in the description, picks up random items and has them sent to me. So this was one that was sent, and a few months ago, a separate individual had sent me the band's first album, which I'll show now. And um, in in contrast, for a first album, this right out of the gate is fantastic. It is a great first album, and most bands really struggle when it comes to a first album and really uh, making themselves presentable in the manner that they want to. But you can tell on this album that they really knew what they were doing. They had a direction, they had a purpose, and a beginning and ending all mapped out, and this album really showcases that. So I was impressed with this. However, what really brought this band to my attention was the K-Scope YouTube page, which I have subscribed to, and I will check my notifications and see if there's anything new and bands that I maybe haven't heard before, or bands that I have heard before, and they're putting out new material, etc. So I stumbled across Ihlo, and they put out two or three singles, I believe. I reacted to them. You can find the reactions in my videos. But two or three singles from Legacy prior to its release. And I was just astonished with each single of how good they were. And upon listening to this album, I'm just blown away. And music is my medicine. I've said that before. And right now, due to the government shutdown in the United States, I'm really uh, struggling on a mental level with anxiety and not knowing where things are going to go from here. So I listen to music, and I've been listening to this a lot. Now, this band is defined as progressive metal, and progressive metal, for those of you in the dark, is a genre that's sort of an extension of progressive rock. Progressive rock being music that is typically, but not always, longer than average pop songs that are 3 or 4 minutes pace. Um, Songs can go on and on and on, but they don't go on and on and on in the same uh, tempo and rhythm. They change time signatures and keys and go through different movements, much like a classical piece of music would. So, progressive metal is simply a heavier version of progressive rock, if that makes sense. And Ihlo would fall into that category. Um, and I was getting burned out on progressive metal. It was all starting to sound the same. And then I heard Ihlo, and I thought, wow, this is a breath of fresh air. This is fantastic. And then I got the album in the mail, and I listened to it, and I was astonished. I was really, blown away by what I heard. And for a band's second album, this is a masterpiece. Very few bands can really come out of the gate as strong as Ihlo did with their first album, but a second album that is even better is also hard to achieve. Yet they did. And they did big time. Now I'm going to show you the artwork on this and packaging itself, and I will talk about more from a production standpoint, writing, arrangement, etc. after I show you that. So this, once again, is the cover. Now here's the inside, a digipack, uh, and it opens up to reveal the band on one side and the disc on the other. This is the back of the album with the track listing and assorted other credits. And there are 10 tracks total on this Ihlo album. And track songs, pieces, if you want to get technical in the classical sense. Like I said, the songs tend to go through movement, much in the way a classical piece does. It goes through moods of different musical um, intensities, from light to heavy to whatever the song calls for, really. And the musicianship on this album is just mind boggling, off the charts, stupendous. I mean, it is a work of art and really an album that I was not expecting to be as good as it was for a band's second album. But it surpassed my expectations, and I'm glad it did because it it warmed my heart to listen to this, and really to know that there are individuals out there who are putting more thought and effort into their albums and into the writing and recording of their albums. Now, it's the mix on this album in terms of the engineering aspect and production is really also to be praised also. Um, it's really a a punchy mix. You have good dynamic range, lots of highs and lows in terms of the musical intensity and when instruments should be able to be out in front and shine and when they should be more in the background in terms of simply um, adding texture and layers to the overall sound. And it's the it's really just an incredible achievement, musically speaking, especially like I said, for a band's second album. I would love to go through the track listing with you as I usually do with my album reviews. However, I was not able to copy and paste the track listing from Amazon myself, as it's not listed on Amazon, which they usually list the track listings for all the albums, all depending on the band's uh, popularity and or um, musical significance in their eyes. But they didn't really have a description either for this album. Um, so that being said, and being visually impaired, and in my case, legally blind, I can't see the track listing to actually ramble off the names of the songs. I can only tell you to listen to it and be amazed. And on that note, I will end off this album review. It's one of the best progressive metal albums I've ever heard. And I've heard a lot over the years. I went through a really long progressive metal phase where that's all I would listen to. And I sort of grew out of that phase and really started branching out into all genres of music. And I was still listening to all genres when I was listening to progressive metal, but not as prominently as I do now. And I'm all over the spectrum, musically speaking, at the current time. But being burned out on progressive metal and having it really give um, give the genre itself the adrenaline boost it needed was Ihlo and the album Legacy. Available now wherever music is sold in your choice of formats. And this is brought to you by K-Scope Records once again. And definitely do yourself a favor, check this out. You can stream it on Spotify or Amazon Music. But I also encourage you all to invest in this album. If you want to hear something that is really intricate and well arranged and just not the norm. The vocals are really strong and melodically presented. The guitar is just amazing. Very, very um, well uh, written parts are played, and they're parts that may not be necessarily viewed as normal rhythmic patterns. And this takes us into a different direction musically because of that. The drumming and bass on this album, the rhythm section, is also to be praised. The drumming is some of the best I've heard in years. And the keyboard work is also very textural in nature, but it works well. And it gives the band on this album the fullness of sound that really, really makes this album special. So, like I said, do yourself a favor, check it out, and you will not be sorry. Let me know your comments in the comment section below regarding this album if you've heard it. Your thoughts, I'd love to know. And um, if you have any suggestions or recommendations for bands you'd like me to check out albums from, leave them in the comments as well. I will certainly do my best to get to them. And don't forget, at the end of the year, this year we have the top 20 media awareness countdown of the albums that I feel are the best albums that came out this year, 2025. So, if you can, and if you're not subscribed yet, please do so. You're going to want to definitely watch for that on New Year's Eve. I tend to film it and actually release it on New Year's Eve itself. So look for this on that as well. This is Rob with Media Awareness. I do apologize that I wasn't able to actually read through the track listing itself, and my friend that typically would help me with that sort of thing is not available at the moment. So I simply wanted to get this album out there to give this band the well-deserved exposure that they really, really require, and I think I did that. So, um, go out and listen to Ihlo Legacy, and check out the first album as well. It's all good. I will see you all again soon. Have a wonderful morning, noon, or night wherever you are. Take care. Bye.